This is Boats of the Thousand Islands, the show about every kind of watercraft on the Great St. Lawrence River. Your hosts are Robbie and Terry, both 15. Every week they break it down so you actually get it.
Show about every kind of watercraft on the Great St. Lawrence River. I'm Terry.
And I'm Robbie, and today we're talking about the humblest, scrappiest, most underestimated boat on the water, the dinghy.
The dinghy, the little guy that gets dragged behind every fancy yacht like a loyal puppy.
Or tied to a dock, half filled with rainwater, looking like it gave up on life 3 summers ago.
But here's the thing, without the dinghy, half the boaters on the St. Lawrence couldn't get from their anchored boat to shore.
That's actually what makes it a tender. When a small boat serves a bigger boat, ferrying people and supplies, it earns that title.
So every tender is a dinghy, but not every dinghy is a tender. It's a promotion based on job duties.
Exactly. You do the work, you get the title, very motivational for a 9-foot rubber boat.
Now, dinghies come in a surprising range of styles, hard-hulled wooden or fiberglass versions, and inflatable ones called ribs.
RIB stands for Rigid Inflatable Boat, a tough fiberglass bottom with inflatable tubes around the sides for buoyancy.
Coast guards and rescue teams worldwide use ribs because they're nearly impossible to sink and handle rough water really well.
The Royal National Lifeboat Institution in the UK operates over 400 ribs as frontline rescue craft. 400.
So the same basic design keeping someone's kayak dry when they row to the marina is also saving lives in the North Sea.
Humble little dinghy just quietly doing its thing while the big boats get all the Instagram posts.
On the St. Lawrence, you see them everywhere in summer, tied to cruisers at Kingston, bouncing behind sailboats near Gananoque.
And the Thousand Islands themselves make tenders especially important, because a lot of cottage docks can't fit anything bigger.
You might have a gorgeous 40-foot cruiser anchored out, but your world depends entirely on that 7-foot inflatable with the wobbly oarlocks.
Those oarlocks. One wrong move and you're rowing in circles past a family of merganser ducks, judging you silently.
The oldest form of a dinghy is basically just a small rowboat. Humans have been using them for literally thousands of years.
Ancient Egyptians had tender-style skiffs to service larger reed boats on the Nile. The concept is that old and that practical.
What changed is materials. Traditional wooden clinker-built dinghies were beautifully crafted but heavy, and they needed constant maintenance.
Then fiberglass came along in the 1950s and 60s, and suddenly boats didn't rot, and everyone's dad stopped sanding every spring.
And inflatable technology improved so much that modern PVC or Hypalon tubes can last 15 to 20 years with decent care.
Hypalon is actually a synthetic rubber made by DuPont, tougher than standard PVC, handles UV and salt way better.
It costs more, but serious offshore sailors swear by it because your tender is literally your lifeboat if something goes very wrong.
Right. If your big vessel sinks and the tender is your escape route, you want the good rubber, not the bargain version.
Most cruising guides recommend your tender be at least 10% of your main vessel's length, so a 40-foot boat needs a 4-foot dinghy minimum.
Though honestly, 4 feet seems optimistic for anything except a very small, very trusting person.
Outboard motors change the whole game too. A small 2 or 4 horsepower engine turns a slow row into a quick zip.
Electric outboards are getting popular now too. Quiet and clean, which the herons and osprey along the St. Lawrence definitely appreciate.
There's actually a whole dinghy racing culture. Small one-design sailboats race competitively, totally separate from the tender world.
The Optimus dinghy is the world's most sailed boat. Millions of kids have learned to sail in one. Millions.
It's a boxy little 11.5-foot boat designed in 1947 in Florida from cheap plywood, and it conquered the planet.
Because it's slow enough to be safe for a 10-year-old and tricky enough to teach real sailing skills. Brilliant design.
So we've got one word, dinghy, covering rubber rescue boats, racing sailboats, yacht tenders, and a kid's first sailing experience.
Language is wild. That's basically the same situation as the word boat, applying to both a kayak and an aircraft carrier.
Fair point. On the St. Lawrence, a dinghy is mostly what stands between a cottager and a very long swim.
And they take it for granted until the outboard won't start, and suddenly that rubber oval is the most important thing in their life.
Treat your tender well, check the pressure, rinse the salt, don't leave it upside down on the dock all October.
Words to live by. Small boats do big jobs, and the dinghy is proof that you don't need size to matter.
Whether you're rowing to 1,000 Islands shoal in a wooden pram or blasting across in a rib, that little boat earned its place.
Thanks for spending this episode with us. Next week we're climbing up the size scale considerably, so stay curious and stay on the water. See you next week on Boats of the Thousand Islands.